Welcome back, everyone, to the Drew McFadyen podcast. This is episode 2, aka episode 133 of the Grunge Bible podcast. I'm with Chris Salona and Ethan Shalloway. How you guys doing?
Thank you for having me on your podcast, Drew McFadyen.
Yeah, this is an honor, brother. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
I mean, on this podcast, we ask you how we're doing. How you guys doing?
This is part of the show where we say, "How are you?" You know, I'll start. I'm doing well. It's been a really solid week. This past weekend was busy. My little brother had a pottery sale, and then my pop-up turned 85, so we had a family party, had some homemade ice cream, and we've been working all week, so that's really nice because that means a big check's coming, obviously. I'm sure there's people that work really consistently, so that's nothing new, but my work ebbs and flows, so so it's nice to know that a big check is coming, you know, all those part-timers out there. You know, they say, I don't live to work, I work to live.
Absolutely. I think I've heard that a time or two before.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm doing good, you know, just getting up early, grinding out a whole day, every day, and it's been solid. You know, can't complain.
It's amazing, man.
Chris, how you doing?
You know what? I'm actually doing pretty well. I see. I think I had you guys there for a second.
The rhythm is back, huh?
The rhythm is back. I'm back in the groove. I've had a busy couple of weeks, but I found myself like in the eye of the storm type situation. I'm grooving. I'm moving. I'm smoothing. I'm doing all that kind of stuff. I feel really good. I'm like pretty relaxed and pretty calm, which is good. I haven't felt very calm in a while, so this is great.
You know what that means, though? That means you had a big weekend coming
exactly.
up.
Exactly. I'm just going to completely derail all of my progress in 48 hours time. Yes, that's what's happening.
Yep, that's how it goes.
It's going to be great. I returned back to the state of Iowa for the first time in 5 years this weekend. I'm going to a wedding. I haven't
first
been back
time in
there
5
since,
years?
Yeah, man. I haven't been. No, not 5 years. I'm a liar. I'm sorry. First time in 3 years. Yeah, I haven't been back since 2020. So we're going back. I lived there for 5 years. See, I got my facts crossed. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be a quality time. But host Drew McFadyen, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Again, I know I say it every time, no traffic infractions, which is good.
That's huge. Yeah, we gotta make sure that we're staying on the up and up there.
Yeah, got to see E in person a few weeks ago at a wedding as well.
Right on.
I actually officiated it, so it was pretty fun.
Was that your first time officiating a wedding? Or are you a veteran?
Absolutely.
How'd it go? Let's hear, boys. Drew, I want to hear your perspective as the officiant, and then I want to hear Ethan's perspective as the spectator.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it went well. Of course, I'm going to say that. The one thing against everybody was the weather. Unfortunately, it was raining essentially all day, and it was an outdoor wedding, and no like tents to where the actual ceremony was going to take place. But you know, you roll with the punches, and it's all good. And they wanted it short and sweet, and it was very good friends of myself and Ethan's, and I thought it went as good as it could have. It was a lot of fun. It was a complete honor. Yeah.
How similar is officiating a wedding to hosting a podcast?
Oh, well,
a lot less pressure.
It's a lot less pressure.
I'm pretty sure Drew dropped the ring. Is that right?
Well, yes.
Well,
allegedly.
Sure
technically, yes. But there was a part of the script, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, it sounds a lot worse than what it was. I mean, it was a very loose, easygoing wedding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like, you know, we did a run through the night before, and it was everybody, it was just a very loose, like off the cuff sort of ceremony. So you know, we didn't have the ring bearer. Unfortunately, couldn't make it to the rehearsal dinner, so I didn't get to interact with the ring bearer at all.
Okay,
you know?
So you didn't get to build any rapport ahead of time.
We Yeah, we didn't get to run the play.
The handoff.
It's tough to just hop into the game like that without. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. So I think, there was no interceptions, and the rings went on the right fingers. And
Well, at the end of the day,
That's all that matters.
right?
everybody's safe in the end.
yeah.
It's like when you fumble it,
Yeah.
you pick it up and still get the first down. It's
Right.
like,
I mean, all's well that ends well.
it goes down in the books as a first down, not a fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Exactly.
it was good. Like I said, it was raining, and they didn't set up any chairs. Everybody was standing. And
Yeah.
the problem was we were right in front of a road, and there was for some reason a bunch of cars driving by in the back road.
That's tough.
And Drew probably didn't opt for no mic, but they decided not to use a mic, so he was he had to really enunciate and speak loudly. So that was the only difficult part, but I thought it was pretty. Like he said, everybody was. I mean, everybody's really close friends, and it was like one of those intimate weddings. It wasn't like 250 people. It was a lot smaller, so everybody was down for whatever was going to happen with the weather and and all the stuff that was going. So it was perfect,
Nice.
Yeah, I wanted to channel Gavin Rosdale, and I wanted to just put me out there with a mic, 1994 spring break.
Absolutely.
And let me be heard. Come on.
And create a moment out of it.
I feel like that's the
but it
first
was
time in
neat
a
to-
long time that Gavin Rosdale's been brought up on the podcast.
I don't think it's been since the top 100 songs, Ethan, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, dude, they made the top 100. A few of them.
Twice or 3 times maybe.
If it was my choice, it'd been like 5.
Yeah, you were bargaining hard for them.
I think they're important.
Well, he might come up. He might come up later on. So.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that.
If I have anything to
He
say
might come
about
up
it.
again. Who knows?
That's the mystery of the Grunge Bible podcast. You truly never know what elements are going to consist. What elements this episode is going to consist of. But there's a few
Except
things.
one thing.
There's a few things that the Grunge Bible podcast always includes, and we already got one of them out of the way with the weekly check-in. Seems like everybody's spirits are well. The next action item that we have to do, sorry to hijack this from you, Mr. McFadyen, but we do have to thank people that make this show possible. And there's a bunch of different avenues that people can contribute to make this show possible. First and foremost, we can purchase some merchandise. If you visit the show notes, we have a link to our store. You can get all sorts of goodies that represent Grunge Bible and let people know just how you get down in the grunge world. You support us, and we can continue to make this show. So buy some merch. But if you're a minimalist, maybe perhaps, and you don't want to add to your t-shirt drawer or your sweatshirt drawer, you could just straight up give us your money via Patreon, $2, $5, or $10 a month. That contribution goes directly to us and allows us to put on this lovely show that you're listening to right now. And at this time, I would like to thank our top level supporters at the $10 per month level. And the list is a little shorter this week, gentlemen. We've had a couple of individuals who perhaps maybe have switched credit cards or bank providers, and their payment information is lapsed. So if you're out there and I don't say your name, please contact site support and we'll get you squared away. The concierge line is open 24/7. So please direct your inquiries to that line. But at this time, I would like to thank Pile of Punk, Gochu John, Eric R. Berry, Sherry Matthews, Epona, Julie Van Siever, Corden Stewart, Keith White, Faith Bittner, Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce, Granny Grunge, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Alex Long, Fresh Tendonitis, Kara K, Nikki 6, Chris LSMS, Black Hole Sean, What the Fuck is Up, Denny's, Rachel Corning, Millie, Doug Endy, Blue Owl, Fuck Soup, Jamie Lynn, Lauren Irene, Carlene Salona, Alexa Shannon, and the great Jade Mercado. So thank you one and all for your continued support as we kick off episode 133, otherwise known as episode 2 of the Drew McFadyen Show.
Amen to that.
There you go.
I was listening to some podcasts today, and they were absolutely littered with ads, which is good for them. They're making a lot of money, but not us. We're just supported by the people right now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I think hopefully people probably skip over it anyway, but
Hey, it's well
we don't
within
have a
their
lot
right.
of it. There's still not,
There's
a lot. There's not a lot that you have to skip over. So,
And now it's already over.
Yeah. One thing I would like to add to that, if that's okay. The merch is actually pretty high American quality.
Absolutely.
Made here in the USA.
Handcrafted.
It's triple ply. It's I wear the sweatshirt quite regularly in the winter months. So I'm big advocate for it. It's keeps you warm. Does its job.
The versatility
fantastic.
of it is unmatched. I mean, I've seen people in Michelin star restaurants wearing it. I've seen people, logging with it on. I've seen, people in divorce court with it on. I mean, all over the place. I mean, you see the Grunge Bible gear.
Yeah. I went on one cruise in my life and the captain was wearing a Grunge Bible beanie at sea and it was really, really sick.
See, you wouldn't think that we're that nautical, but we kind of get down on the open seas a little bit if we have to.
It was wild.
Yeah.
One more thing I would like to add, Chris, in terms of ads is Ethan. Where are we with a Grunge Bible house, man?
Yeah, the Quinn Shalloway Grunge Bible house transaction.
Yeah, so we haven't got any calls, which is pretty disappointing for all the listeners. I'm a little disappointed. If you're a new listener, my brother is a real estate agent, but he's not just a real estate agent. He's the Grunge Bible headhunter, which means that if you need to buy or sell a house and you go through us and we get you in contact with our brother, not only will you get one of the best headhunters, real estate agents in the country, because he is really good. And I think that I can say that confidently.
He's a master of his craft.
He is. But what you're going to do is you're going to be able to buy or sell your house seamlessly. And through that, Quinn's going to cut us a part of, the deal, basically. So when you sell your house, you're going to make a lot of money, and then we're also going to make some money, and then Grunge Bible can, we can say that we sold a house.
We can buy our own house.
Yeah, and we can buy a house. So, as far as updates go, I don't think we have any bites yet. No real talks. I just want to get somebody to call and be like, hey, I have a few questions about like interest rates, and like he can talk about it. That would make me feel really cool if the worlds collide even a little bit. So
yeah, that would be very gratifying.
Yeah. You guys ever see Wedding Crashers?
I've never seen it.
I've seen
Number one. What?
I know you've seen it, Ethan. Everybody's seen it.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Well,
wow.
Maybe Ethan, you'll get this perhaps. People helping people. Okay. So help yourself get a house if you need a house. Help Quinn get, it's a little bit of compensation off of helping you find a house. Help the Grunge Bible.
Right. Everybody
yourself,
walks away
Quinn,
happy.
Help the Grunge Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Perfect.
that.
Cool. All right, guys, do you want to jump into this? We're doing a little bit of a Q&A thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Drew McFadyen Show episode 2. I got some questions for you guys.
That's right.
All right.
I'm ready.
You tee them up and we'll tee off.
Well, Ethan, before we do
tee
that,
them up so we tee off.
Do we have to disseminate with some this day in music history moments?
Yeah, I was going to kick it to the end, but we can do that.
No, we'll save it for the end because I know people really enjoy that segment, so we'll just force them to listen.
Yeah, we'll finish up. We'll wrap it up with that.
Yeah. So it's coming.
I know
if you're waiting
Drew's
for
got
it.
some questions. Obviously, he's chomping at the bit. So please,
we need
ask
to
away,
release
Drew. Give us your first one.
I'm chomping at the bit, and I'm going to try to go in a good order here. So I think last time we had the Drew McFadyen Show, I did ask you guys this question, and I hope that you have a better answer for me this time.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So
I asked you last time, did you have a favorite composer? And neither of you came back with anything, so I'm hoping.
Whoa, that's not true. I definitely said if my favorite. I said, well, the guy who did Tenet, so I don't remember his name, and then Hans Zimmer is like, obviously, the
Ludwig
go-to.
Göransson. Yeah, okay, and then Hans Zimmer. Okay, so which one's your favorite though? I don't know if we ever defined Ethan's favorite composer.
I think you worded it last time as what's your favorite soundtrack? Because that's why I said Tenet, but. I'll say, Hans Zimmer definitely seems like he delivers every time that he gets called up. So I'm gonna say he's my favorite. But again, I feel like that's kind of a cop out because that's what people say all the time when they're asked.
It's okay, you're entitled.
Yeah. So but there's a reason. There's a reason that Barry Bonds is a lot of people's favorite player or something.
Right.
There's the reason that the legends are the legends. Yeah, Tom Brady.
Why a lot of people like Pearl Jam.
Yeah, exactly. They're good at what they do. So I think there's no shame in saying that Hans Zimmer is my favorite because he
wasn't a shame at all. Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go with him.
I like that. I've done my homework. I may have just done it 19 seconds ago, but I've got it ready to turn into the professor. Drew, my favorite composer is a gentleman by the name of Christopher Lennertz. Do you know who that is?
I don't. Please tell me.
So Christopher Lennertz, the reason why he's my favorite composer is he did the scores to all of the old EA Games Medal of Honor video games that I used to play when I was a lad.
Dude.
Yeah, man, this man made some absolutely incredible soundtracks, perfectly fitting for all of those early World War II era first-person shooter games I used to play with my brother back in the day.
13-year-old Chris Solano, World War II video games.
Younger than that, man, dude. Medal of Honor, European Assault. Dude, the soundtrack.
What were some of those games called? Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, man. Well, he's got quite the extensive resume, so to speak. Medal of Honor, Rising Sun.
Rising Sun was the first one I think I ever played,
that came out in 2003. Medal of Honor, Pacific Assault, Medal of Honor, European Assault. He also did the soundtrack for the 2007 Simpsons video game. I know that's a very, very important one.
I think I remember playing them on YouTube or GameCube.
Absolutely, yeah, that would have been the GameCube era. He did a couple of Godfather video games, Mass Effect. He's kind of he's been all over the world in a lot of ways, but that is my favorite composer.
It's a good one. Video games. That's a good soundtracks.
People are doing some great work with those, especially back then. Like I used to sit and you couldn't go online, so I would just sit on like the credit screen at the beginning and just let the soundtrack play.
I mean, that's basically
cool.
Where my music discovery took place for like 10 years.
Oh yeah, the video game soundtracks.
The Madden,
Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater and Breakout 2 was like so good. It was a racing game, and they just like played awesome music.
Yeah.
Just remember I Want to Be Sedated was like always being played. It seemed like.
I think I discovered 30 Seconds to Mars from an NHL game. And
that's absolutely perfect. Yeah. I was just speaking of video games, one of my friends just suggested the band Royal Blood to me. They're a Canadian band. They're a 2-piece band, and I was like, I think I know them from somewhere, and I was listening to a bunch of their songs, and sure enough, I remember them. Their music was in a hockey video game that I used to play when I was younger. I was like, this is where I remember it from. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, our age, I mean, growing up with the GameCubes and the PlayStations of the world, that was a good place to kind of cut our teeth in terms of music for sure.
There are some very notable video games that have spawned incredible soundtracks. One of them being The Last of Us, which they just HBO.
Yeah,
just made a TV show off of, and the theme song is the same from the video game, and it's incredible.
That's pretty awesome. I like that.
I don't have the citation of who composed it, but I mean, good art comes from any media or multimedia. It's pretty cool.
I want to shout out Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, who were the composers for the Halo soundtrack back in the day.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
That was a big one. A lot of people like that. There's a lot of people, recreating the choir and trying to sing it with the boys and whatnot. And
it's a staple.
Pretty legendary stuff.
And just to piggyback, you guys, I don't remember if you told me what was your favorite movie soundtrack?
Oh,
I mean, Interstellar and Inception are two great,
unbelievable
soundtracks.
Yeah.
Obviously,
and then Tenet, all Hans.
And Tenet,
except for Tenet, yeah.
I did recently see Oppenheimer, and I was like locked in. It was a long movie, and I was locked in the entire time. And I felt the soundtrack was really solid for that.
Ludwig Göransson, who did Tenet, did that one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
those are the four that come to mind.
Yeah, Chris.
I'm gonna keep one track mind that I have. I need to once again. I believe we've discussed him at some point on this show, but the great Danny Elfman did the score for Good Will Hunting. Right. That's always a favorite of mine. I think I probably mentioned him as my answer last time, so I'm consistent. Hopefully, the answer is it's enough for you, Drew.
Brilliant. Who writes a better soundtrack for a movie? Dave Grohl or Kurt Cobain?
Oh, it's got to be
reaction.
Grohl.
Yeah, I say Grohl. He's done like that 23-minute long
play, right?
Play. It was called Play, where he played everything, and it basically was like a soundtrack type of song. He did everything, and tons of different parts thrown together and built up. And, you know, Kurt has pretty much the opposite of like really simple few chords and pretty simple stuff. So not that you need to be complex for it. Depends what the movie is, I guess.
Yeah,
it really does. If it's a Wes Anderson film, maybe Kurt Cobain's going to be coming in hot with a great soundtrack.
Could work.
I would go Dave Grohl.
You have a choice, Chris?
Yeah, I'm definitely siding with Dave Grohl for all of the reasons that Ethan just provided as well. Yeah. 100%.
I always sometimes think about like, you know, those great composers like John Williams or Danny Elfman or something. Like if it was like you had to hire them to make a pop song, a rock song or something.
Oh, like shoe on the other foot type thing. Yeah.
What would that sound like, you know?
I think they would all be so capable, right? And I think they'd do some really awesome stuff because you think about like movie scores or television scores or anything like that, like how involved they are and how creative you have to be to fill that space. and it's interesting. A lot of times, like you're writing and you're composing for a specific thing, and you know, if you kind of remove that specific thing, it's like, hey, just like run wild and create something. I think you get some really interesting results.
Yeah, because they always kind of have to. There's another piece of art that's influencing their art,
right?
So it's like if you just give them full reign, blank space, create art. I just wonder what it would sound like, but given in like a specific avenue.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, I got a follow-up question.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish? Who's given a better soundtrack?
Well, the evidence...
Can Phineas be involved with Billie Eilish, or is it just Billie?
What'd you say?
Can Phineas be involved as well?
I would think so. If Martin and Salvatore can co-headline Halo,
team
then
up. We get Billie and Phineas together.
Yeah, you get them both.
I think I'm picking Billie and Phineas.
They have more of a soundtrack vibe, but like Taylor Swift, obviously, with her production value over the past couple of years, has really increased, and she will definitely be able to come up with. I mean, she's done some pretty incredible projects, also with Bon Iver and stuff. I feel like
Jack Antonoff.
Well, what do you think? She has a theme song for Bond, for the latest Bond movie. Did not know that. What?
I didn't know that.
Zimmer. With Hans Zimmer.
I'm dropping the ball here.
Dude, it's incredible.
Wait, Taylor Swift and Hans Zimmer are working together?
Billie Eilish and Phineas and Hans Zimmer. They did the themes, the main title.
That's pretty awesome.
See, I didn't even know that when I asked the question.
I knew I picked them for a reason.
after this podcast, you got to go on YouTube. It's at the Brit Awards, I believe. They do an incredible live performance. Hans Zimmer, Billy, Phineas, the whole gang.
Sounds amazing.
The whole band. The song's awesome. It's like one of the best Bond song, you know, and like that's such an important thing in the Bond movies. You know, Adele did one. Chris Cornell did one of the newer.
He did one of the Bonds. Yeah,
he did one of the newer Bond ones.
You Know My Name or something it was called, or I forget.
And Billie Eilish, and Hans Zimmer, just did one. And I was trying to think of, has Taylor done any cinematic work? Because if not,
well, she has a movie coming out in like a week from this.
But
day.
I mean, just composition.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, right?
Yeah. So
I mean history just says that Billy's got the W.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, she has the upper hand, but we know debut albums can be the best albums. So maybe the debut composition is going to be
like the magnum opus, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to say.
I guess time will tell.
Time will tell.
I mean, I did actually have a question about Taylor Swift for this, so I guess we could just piggyback right there. Thoughts on Taylor Swift and the success of this apparently very historical, at least financially, tour. Have you guys been following this at all? Or
yeah, I heard that this tour is going to catapult her to billionaire status.
Is she still on tour? How long has this tour been? It feels like it's been going on for years.
It's been going on, I think, since the early summer, late spring type type thing, but I know
Feels
there's
like
more
it's been,
dates
like,
to play.
years.
Like she's playing overseas now. I think she announced like more dates in the U.S. Like I think like Minneapolis or something. A bunch of places that she hasn't been yet on the tour, but it's incredible. And I mean she brings it every time too. Like she played a couple of nights in Foxborough where the New England Patriots play, and one night it was just raining buckets, and she played 2.5 hours or whatever, in the pouring rain. And she's just one of those performers that can seize any moment and make magic out of seemingly anything, even
like
the
Prince.
circumstances that you would think, I mean, exactly. And can kind of make magic out of anything, even circumstances that would be, far from ideal. So that's the thing. I mean, people, especially a lot of people, I think, that listen to the Grunge Bible podcast who are grunge heads, you have the tendency to discount, some of the newer stuff by younger people or different generations. But whether you enjoy her music or not, whether like it hits you or not, like she is a performer and she's incredible. So I'm all for anything that she does.
That's what a lot of people have been saying, that just the experience is pretty awesome. Just in, how the show is orchestrated.
It's a huge production,
everything.
huge
It
production
better be.
value. Yeah, seriously.
And I mean, one of the headlines that stuck out to me was she gave, I think it was some leg of the tour, whether it was the North American, South American, whatever, they finished it, and she gave reportedly bonuses to every single person on the crew.
I heard that.
That was no less than 6 figures, which is crazy.
That
is crazy.
How big is the crew? Massive, right?
Probably pretty significant.
150 people. Yeah.
I was thinking way more, but yeah, and that makes sense. Probably her crew, not the people
the
that
ride or die crew. Yeah,
not at the stadiums.
Team.
That's awesome.
Team Swift.
Yeah, I don't think the venue personnel itself that would be.
Speaking of productions and massive performances, the Sphere just opened up in Las Vegas, and
oh, really?
I you know what I'm talking about, Drew, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what it would be used for. I must have missed the whole that it's going to be. I don't know if it's primarily going to be for music.
I believe it is.
U2, yeah, but U2 played there, and it's like the perfect band, because when my parents saw them, because my dad's a big U2 fan, probably maybe 2017. I'm not really sure. And,
yeah, I think it was the anniversary of Joshua Tree, right? The 30th anniversary in 2017, I think.
Yeah. So, and he said like the screen that they had set up was like 100 meters long or something like that. They literally had a screen that was that big because they did graphics like that, and that's what they've been doing. So to have something that can go, full 360, all around you and just encompass you and just put whatever you want on there. I mean, that would be absolutely mind blowing. I'm like, okay, I definitely need to go see a show there. I mean, that's like kind of at the top of my list. Besides like Red Rocks and the Gorge, like
right.
I'm putting the Sphere up there.
Dude, the Sphere won me over instantly.
It did. Yeah,
it won me over. And U2, they're playing like a 25 show residency there this year into next year. So, and I agree,
they're like they built it for them.
They're the perfect band to open with it, because I mean, even back to their tours in the early 90s and mid 90s, I mean, the production, with the intent that they approached the production of their shows with, to make it, equal parts theater and live music. I mean, they're absolutely perfect for it. And say what you will about Bono, but I mean, I love him. I love all his creative vision, and the band. I got chills when I saw some of the videos coming from that first night at the Sphere. I would love to go to a U2 show there.
Well, that leads me kind of a little bit smoothly into a fan question. We put out a Q&A to the fans. This is Cassidy Nicole .98 asks, dream concert venues. Leads you right into Ethan, your answer there.
I'm one step ahead on all these. This is great.
I know.
You're crushing it, dude.
I didn't
see
even
the
look.
other side. I love. I
didn't even look.
Crushing it.
I still have never seen a show at Red Rocks, and that's kind of been the place that I wanted to see for the longest. I saw some pictures of Dead and Company playing at the Gorge, and I kind of was brought into what that is. It's like Red Rocks, but in Seattle, and it's really historic. So that went pretty high on my list. And then the Sphere has rocketed up there, and I'd like to get to Wembley. Obviously, I feel like Wembley would be really fun too, to see a show at. I'm trying to think. Yeah, those are the top 4 for sure right now. There's one in Rome. I think it's in Rome, the Colosseum.
Well, they've played a bunch of shows like around like the Duomo and everything too.
Who are we talking about? The Foo?
No, just like shows in general. Like U2's played at the Duomo. Like Pearl Jam's played at a couple of really historic venues. I think in Verona, Italy, and just like I love the juxtaposition between modern music that has become timeless and these absolutely timeless, accomplishments of architecture. And it's cool. I mean, you're blending hundreds, sometimes 1,000 years of tradition together, and to put it together, and when it's done right, it's so seamless. So I mean, anything like that where there's a lot of history, I think is something that's really, really special.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's a really, really cool video of the Foo playing. Like I said, I think it's the Colosseum, or that's what it's called. And
one of them, something like that.
And it's got pillars everywhere, and it's like it looks unreal. I mean, it looks out of a movie, like amazing.
Yeah, I like that.
You guys have seen a show at MSG or no?
No, I've never seen a show at MSG.
Just a basketball game.
Just a Knicks game.
I think that would be kind of an obligatory before you kick the bucket. Got to see a show there.
I think you're right.
Chris, you had a chance to see Fish there, didn't you?
I did have a chance to see Fish there. This was in April of 2022. Like somebody that I met through this page, and I met in real life. Like we got together, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, 3 days from now, I'm going to MSG for 3 nights of Fish."
Wait, tell him how you met, Chris, because that's also important.
Yes. So this gentleman, he is the scoreboard operator at Fenway Park. So they have an old historic, 100 and some odd year old scoreboard out there that, it's updated by hand. So like you put the numbers up, they're like these big steel placards, you put them in, you stick them in, and, you kind of keep the score that way. That's his job. So he stays in the scoreboard for the games and updates them appropriately. So I think, I posted something related to Boston or maybe the Red Sox. He's like, hey, I run the scoreboard at Fenway. Like if you come up to a game, shoot me a text. I'd love to get together. So by happenstance, I was going up to a game like a week after that. So I went up and I met him, and he gave me a tour of the scoreboard and everything. My family was with me. It was really cool. He's like, by the way, he's like, in 3 days, I'm going to MSG for Fish. He's like, I've got a ticket with your name on it if you want it. And I couldn't swing it, but maybe
we were just there too.
Yeah, we had just been to New York not that long ago prior to that. So I missed the boat on it. So I'm gonna have to circle back on for some MSG action. Drew, have you seen a show there?
No. It's on the list. To answer Cassie's question, dream venues. I think there's that. I think they should turn the Coliseum into a music venue. I don't see why anybody would veto that other than
they were going to do the stupid Zuckerberg versus Musk fight at the Coliseum, but that didn't happen because Musk backed out or something. So.
Not yet.
Yeah, dude, I'm still happen. My fingers are still crossed for that.
You know what though? I mean, forget about Zuckerberg versus Musk. Forget about these bands. God. The one pop culture event that needs to be staged to open up the Coliseum to a new era.
Biden versus Trump.
No, even better. A live podcast of the Grunge Bible podcast.
How do you guys think we would do if we did a live podcast?
I think it would be cool, but nobody would go, right?
I think it'd be fantastic, really. I think we'd need a few people on stage
we did it.
Talked about this.
The clear strategy to do it would just to piggyback off of like a Pearl Jam show and like travel to a city where there's a Pearl Jam show, and like the afternoon of the show or something, like rent out a venue and put it on that way. So there'd be enough people around that would know us, that would go to it. I think that would be really cool. And that's something that's like penciled into the Grunge Bible bucket list before we delete the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely recapping a show makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Especially if it was like a 2 day, like if they were at a place for 2 days so we could watch a show. We could do it pre the second show.
Yeah.
That would be really, really solid.
Yeah.
We actually talked about this, if you remember, Chris, with Chestnut Grove. We talked about potentially putting on a concert, a smaller concert, because then it would be, it would be, I don't know, way less pressure, but we could have bands play and we could do like the intermissions and we could host it.
Yeah. We're going to have to do that. It's fun. It's so fun to sign up for things with which you have absolutely no experience whatsoever, but we'd be game for it. We'd do all right.
You guys would be great, dude. Yeah.
I think it's in the cards.
Yeah,
I think it has to be in the cards.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
We'll just see where this thing goes. But just to put the cap on it, I think seeing something at the Sydney Opera House would be cool.
That would be really awesome.
Kind of, yeah.
One of my favorite bands is playing their last show ever there this month. Actually, they're a band from Australia called Camp Cope that I'm sure I've talked about on the show before. But they're breaking up. They're ending the band and they're playing their last show. I think on October the 13th or something. So not too far after this show comes out. That'd be cool.
It stinks that they're breaking up.
Yeah, they had a really good run though.
Cool. Excellent, General. Well, I wanted to start off with the easy ones.
We're just getting warmed up here. I feel great.
We're just getting warmed up.
The juices are flowing.
Now I want to get a little bit deeper, if that's all right with you.
Oh, yeah. I can go as deep as you want, Drew.
All right. Let's go to the deep end here gentlemen. Something that I've thought about, I've written a few papers actually in high school and in college about this general topic. I think Ethan has as well, if I remember back to freshman year, but I could be mistaken. But
colors.
I want to know. Oh, that's what it was. It was about colors. Okay, so I was mistaken, but I want to know.
And pain.
Nice.
And pain tolerance.
Okay, so not what I'm about to ask, but yeah. I want to know what you guys think about why do you think music is so universal and so inherent? So if you look back in human history, there has always been, even, some historians would argue before human history, there's always been music of some sort. Yeah. Gregorian chant, just drums were the first instrument ever. Like, what is it about music, about noise and rhythm, about things, these movements of audible math? What is it that is so deep and inherent in our soul?
I think I'd like to take a crack at this.
Okay, I got a good one too then.
Yeah. I think there's just something intrinsic about being alive, and there's just something woven into the way our brains work that values and searches and needs not only to be creative but to experience creative things. And I think with music, it's one of those things you don't need any level of skill to interpret or to understand. You don't need to be literate. You don't need to have, quantitative skills. You don't need to have any sort of thing that you could need to acquire from somebody else, or somebody would have to teach you. I think it's one of the few methods of communication or understanding that, like, I think if you have your senses about you, you're able to interpret, and it can be so open-ended that it can mean, something very specific to you that it doesn't mean to anybody else. But I think so much of it is, and it's tough too, I think, in like today's world, because we're so busy and there's so many distractions. But I really do think there is an element inside of everybody that yearns to be creative in some way, shape, or form. And music, I think, is just one of the most accessible ways that people can be creative. So it's equal parts inspiring, and it just kind of makes sense because, like I said, you don't need any sort of skills to interpret it, and it's so open-ended, and it comes to you just bare as it is, and it's up to you to decide what to do with it. So I think there's something really alluring about that, and I think that's persisted forever, and I think it's always going to persist forever. I mean, the medium will always change, and how it's being made has certainly changed, over hundreds and hundreds of years. But I think that effect and the feeling that you get and the emotion that you derive from it is has been as constant as anything, I think, as it's a part of the human experience.
So I want to, I think that we need to bring up in symbolism, the dancing bear, the Grateful Dead dancing bear, because the bears have been dancing for years.
They have been.
And they never take a break, right? And they're always dancing. And I think the movement and, the inherent, it's like an expression even before I'd say lyrics, and if you're a song, if you're a musician, usually you learn music. That's not true. If you're a singer, I guess you sing first, but like the music side of it.
Yeah, you got to know the music to be able to sing to it. But yeah.
Yeah, the groove. And I think that the Bears have been dancing for years, and it's important to bring that up. And it's funny. I was just looking up some stuff, and I remember seeing something that made me look into it. And the Bears were designed for his name was Owsley Stanley, and his nickname was Bear, and he was like the premier sound engineer for the Dead in the early days, and also one of the chemists behind the creation and distribution of like LSD back in the day, like during the 60s in the US. Yeah. And so a little bit different response than yours, Chris, but the Bears be dancing.
The Dares be dancing.
Yeah.
They've been dancing for years, man, and no one knows why. It's just when you hear the music. That's why, sometimes I love that about, jam bands, is because you don't know why you're moving around and grooving. I mean, just like the big beat and all those, like you said, or just the stuff that makes you kind of move around. And I think that it's unexplainable a lot of times. So when you talk about like, it's like the inherent and native like response is to move. And I think that's the inner bear in us wanting to dance.
Well, it's really cool too, because like it's one of the few things I think that doesn't need to be defined, because there really isn't, an empirical explanation for it in the same way that, back in the day, discovering how the solar system worked, or, how the planets revolved around the sun and everything. And, there's always some sort of equation and hard fact that you can fall back on that explains, like, here's the one thing that explains all of the other things. I think with music, like, there's nothing like that. And it's fun because it's something that's open to you, and like you don't have to have that intelligence level, and you don't have to be like, okay, well, before I can like fully understand this, like I need to know how it works. Like you don't have to know anything about how it works. I mean you just have to listen. I think it's one of the most simple forms of learning and experiencing different things.
And it's one of the most widest. It's one of the most accessible art forms to the widest audience.
100%.
Because you can have, literally some people argue that like if a baby's in the womb, you should be playing music to it.
Right.
You can. There's, how many examples of probably
Learning.
personal
Yeah.
and. Personal experiences, but also you can find on the internet nowadays of infants responding to noise, beautiful noise, and then it affects newborns to people in their deathbed. Like it's one of the most widely influential art forms in terms of a lifespan of a human, which is also interesting.
I agree. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's crazy, dude. And then you have people that like don't really like music too. But it's like,
I don't
not a big number.
I don't understand it. Like I and certainly anybody listening to this, I would think they would like music. So there's not going to be anybody in that crowd. But yeah, I just I don't understand it. Like because there's so much out there, and there's so much variation in what is out there. Like you mean to tell me that like you can't find, like, imagine writing off all music. Clearly you haven't explored, because there's something out there for everybody, no matter what it is, no matter where it's from, no matter who made it. And a lot of times too, like it's cool because you can make it yourself. I mean, what qualifies as music? I mean, is just about anything, so make some yourself, be creative. I think it's really important to be creative in any way, shape or form. So people have been doing it for thousands of years.
Yeah. And not just, hit the, nail on the head more and more, but just you got me thinking, Chris. It's like, so if it is the most widely accessible form of art, because you don't see too many toddlers looking at the Mona Lisa and being like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
There it must be some just easy accessibility in terms of, I guess, like you said, skill, but I don't know, like there's other words maybe there that you could use, but yeah, there's just something so accessible to it, and that's why it's so universal and inherent, I guess,
Yeah, it's special.
Mm-hmm.
It is special. That's
why we love music. All right.
What?
That's why we love music. You don't really have to explain yourself. You can explain why you love it, but sometimes, that doesn't do it for me, and this does, and that's enough.
Yeah, totally. And then piggybacking off of wide array of ages. So, ultimate band or musician to interview, dead or alive?
Classic.
Ethan and Chris.
Classic question.
This is a classic question.
I'm going to change up my answer because usually...
let's give it an update as of October 4th, 2023.
So, okay, where do I want to go with this? There's a lot of different ways. I'm going to pick someone that's passed away. And I think I'm going to go with, just because we came up along last week or 2 weeks pod, but I'm going to pick a drummer. John Bonham would be really cool to talk to. Obviously playing in Led Zeppelin and being very influential for a lot of people getting into drumming and music. I think that just because there's a lot of really good drummers obviously before him and Buddy Rich and all the guys, but it would be fun to talk to him and just kind of hear what it was like, playing during that time. And because I usually go a little bit, I don't think I've went back that far in the people that I've wanted to interview. So I think Bonham's a pretty solid choice.
It's a very
I like that. I think I'm definitely going to change up my approach as well. And there's a lot of individuals that occupied this time and space and genre, I guess, if you will. But one that comes to mind, the old blues scenes back in the day. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with Muddy Waters, the legendary blues musician. I mean, he was active from the 40s until his death in the 1980s. And I mean, the amount of people that he played with, the amount of people that he influenced, the stories that he would have to tell, just really, really incredible. And I have such an appreciation for the blues, and he was certainly on the cutting edge of a lot of different things. I mean, he's, one of the forefathers of like the Chicago blues scene, for example, and just a lot of the ethics and the ethos that comes with, the low down blues. He was such a great practitioner of it, and I just have so much respect for it because I'll always say it, without the blues, I don't think you have a lot of what modern music has become. So just to
so
sit
much is
down
influence from the
blues. It is, and I love it, and it's just, it kind of dovetails off of the question that you just asked. It's like, why is music so stirring? I think the blues are very simple, in terms of their construction. 12-bar blues, like one of the most simple progressions that you can have, but there's just so much feeling behind it, and there's so much experience woven into the way that those people would play, that is really fascinating. So, to be able to have a conversation and sit down and discuss like what went into those feelings and how they came to feel that way, and how they were able to craft that into their songs, was something that I think would be a really, really compelling conversation.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. Do you have an answer for this question, Drew?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting people I'd love to interview is John Mayer, because I think he's such a intellect.
Mm.
And my old mentor Tim Sonnefeld met him once and said he's just a sweetheart.
I love John Mayer.
Yeah, and I think, could talk about music, could talk about food, could talk about watches. I think it would kind of be an all-encompassing conversation,
Totally.
That's my live answer. passed away answer would be probably I'd love to like just go back in time and talk to like, Mozart and just see how crazy he was.
Yes.
Cuz you just hear about so many crazy stories about him, and he was so good in forming melodies and stuff, and I just love to just peek into that mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good answer. I'm not surprised that would be an answer of yours, but it is a really compelling thing to think about.
Yeah. And then to weave in again some of our listeners' questions, Freak X asked what I thought was a kind of an interesting question. Have you ever met, and I'm going to expound on the original question and just generalize it more. Have you ever met any of your idols? This person was asking more about music idols, but let's just expound. Say, have you ever met, gentlemen, any of your idols, generally speaking, or any, and then more specifically, or any favorite musicians? If so, who?
I can go first if you want, Chris.
Okay, yeah.
So in at the end of July, actually early August, I was in Norway, and one of the best javelin throwers of the early 2000s, Andreas Thorkildsen. He was a 2-time Olympic gold medal winner and multiple world champion. He's thrown 91 meters, definitely top 15. I don't know if he's still in the top 10. And just a master, really, really beautiful throw, everything about it. And I've met some other Olympic gold medalists in the sport. So I've been lucky enough to have, the last 5 years been just around people and different connections that kind of get me in those circles. But this is somebody that I was really looking forward to, and he was, I'd met other people, and I was like, I really want to meet him. And he lived in Chula Vista for a while, so he's friends with the U.S. throwers over the years, but I'd never met him. And, you always say, don't meet your heroes. You always hear that. And I had an interaction with him in the weight room, and like I was asking, like there was a hammer thrower who also was an Olympic medalist and something else, but like he wasn't my event, so, and he was still throwing, so just maybe I wasn't starstruck, and he was just a normal dude, so it was really easy. But I was like, is Thorkildsen coming in? Like, when's he coming in? And I remember he walked in, and Ivan looked at me. He's like, oh, Thorkildsen, ooh, and and I was like, oh, shut up. He's like, but introduce me, come on. So I walked over, and he's like, this is Andreas, and I shook his hand. He's like, Andreas, and then like he walked away, and I was literally like, oh, that was it. And I didn't get to have like any conversation with him besides that. And Ivan was like, yeah, he's kind of to himself, and he can be like that. You kind of got to know him, this and that, and
right.
And I was like, yeah, it's all good. Like I don't mind. But afterwards, like one of the guys that we were there with, who like he was coached by him, and he's he's at the center a lot. Everybody was like, yeah, that was kind of a dick move. Like he knew that you guys like really wanted to meet him, and like he should have talked to you like more. And everybody was kind of like, I'm so sorry. That was like really underwhelming, and like that's all he did, and so it kind of sucked. That was like, and like I hate to say that, but so I'll have to meet him again and be like, hey, because I heard he likes coffee, so I was really excited to like, not talk about javelin.
Have a common ground other than like, javelin,
not talk about his throw from Oslo in 2001.
How many times he has to talk about that?
Yeah, exactly. So I was hoping to like surprise him and be like a different conversation, but I didn't have the opportunity to. So yeah, that was like I said, I'm confident that I'll have another meeting with him, and it'll go differently. So, and then I got to compete. So I competed in Norway, and he was there. Him and his coach were watching, and I threw like shit. So I obviously wasn't going to go up to him and talk to him, and he like pieced out pretty quick afterwards. But like, right. I didn't have the. If I just threw well, it would have been much easier. He would have been like, pretty
much
impressive.
Easier to afford that.
But it was not so easy. So.
Yeah.
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 And then in terms of music, anybody
Yeah, it's
notable that you were
question.
like excited that you have met that you were excited? I
Yeah,
mean, I can think of a few just knowing you, but you met the Dirty Heads.
That's true. I was about to say I don't know exactly. I'm trying to think of who I've met, but yes, we did have a meet and greet at the Hard Rock Cafe. Sorry, with the Dirty Heads, and that was pretty cool. And Rome from Sublime was out in the crowd hanging out. He was absolutely zonked. They all were. So the conversation was just like a lot of head nods and like, yeah, man, thanks for being here.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
But like that's fine with me. And I'm trying to think who else. Do you have anybody else on your mind that I've met, Drew? That I'm trying to think of other music. I haven't met I feel like I haven't really as far as like the people. I mean, we obviously had PD on the podcast, and that was pretty awesome. I was really excited for that.
Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, for you, just anybody involved with the podcast who is obviously amazing to be able to say that we've met them,
Eric
had them on,
Lederman,
that sort of thing. Yeah,
Eric Lederman.
Yeah, people like that. But no, I defer to your brain for recollecting your experience.
Well, yeah, but you did remind me of the Dirty Heads, so. Yeah, I'll keep thinking there's another music guy, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know if I've met any of my heroes. Ethan, it's funny that you said you never meet your heroes. There's a really good Wonder Years lyric, and it's growing up means watching my heroes turn human in front of me. And I think there's something also about just like getting older, and like now that I'm the age that I am, and like I've been operating in the world, like I don't know, like we're all just people, but I'm sure there's definitely people out there that like if I met, I would completely take back the you never meet your heroes type thing. But I really haven't had any sort of interactions like that, meaningful interactions, because like if you just like see somebody in public or like you get their autograph when you're a kid, like a famous sports player, like that doesn't really count because you didn't really have you didn't share like a human moment or an interaction with them. And musically, I would definitely say, there's a few people that we've been able to interview, music adjacent through this show whose work that I've really admired, that it was really interesting and exciting for me to have conversations with. I mean, Chris Cafaro has been a really great friend of ours for a number of years now, and having admired everything that he did, with his art, through photography, that was really cool. Obviously Petey as well, Julie Lydell, June Swoon, her music has been really important to me, so that was one that I was really excited about. But yeah, it's a pretty short list. I just haven't had access, I guess, or shared moments with a lot of people, but I'm certainly gracious for the ones that I have.
1,000 mods, Chris.
1,000 mods. The problem is they're Greek, so the language barrier was, there was a barrier there, but there's a shared couple of head nods,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Drew, have you met any of your heroes?
So I don't know. I at a very formidable age, I saw a video, an interview with you guys know Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
Astrophysicist. Yeah, and just philosopher kind of. Must have been 17 or 18. I saw a video with him. I love listening to him. I love learning about like astronomy and stuff. And he was asked about his heroes, and he gave this like really interesting answer that stuck with me. I use in job interviews because I think it's
I'm going to use it now. I can't wait to hear this.
It's a little bit of a different take on it. And his take was, he's like, I don't have like one hero. I don't have like, some people say they're, just an example, their dad, if you're a guy, or maybe,
Right.
Whatever the case is, I have Tiger Woods is my hero, or, whoever is your hero. We're humans, there's things that are heroic from one character that maybe another aspect of life, they aren't your hero or something, right? So he was saying, well, I want to kind of devise my own hero and be like, I want to take that from that really incredible aspect from that person, that really incredible aspect from this person, that really incredible aspect from that person, and then form my own hero. And
I like
hero.
that. That's really cool.
That's who I chase. That's who I want to be. Yeah.
And I think that philosophy makes the conversation like this so much more accessible too, because I mean, we all interact with people every day that have really, really admirable qualities and different things that you admire and you want to emulate. And it kind of like chops it down to size that like it's accessible, and it's also believable too that, you see people, in your day-to-day life, and, they're your friends, they're your family that are really gifted at certain things. And you're like, well, I see them, like they're people, like, I can aspire to be that, versus like, a lofty celebrity or somebody in the public eye that like you won't cross paths with, that you kind of like, society is built up into being this certain thing. I like that a lot, actually. That's cool.
And it always stuck with me, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, shout out to that guy.
That's cool. The man. I wonder, he might be listening.
Well, gentlemen, I don't know where we are on time, but it might be getting to the part where I kick the show back over to you, and it turns into the Grunge Bible podcast again.
We're pulling the plug on the Drew McFadyen show. Ethan, how are you feeling? We have time maybe for for one more question, or rolling on about an hour?
Yeah, we can absolutely do one more question. Yeah, maybe a softball would be good. Something like what's your favorite candy or something
to ease out of the episode.
Give us another good one, and then we can hit a few more points before we sign off.
So I want to follow up with, why is music so inherent? Why is it so intrinsic? And then if you look back, it's changed so much throughout human history. Okay, everything from just drums to just chanting to just choral to just the orchestra to developing horns,
big band,
strings, big band, blah blah blah. Then vocal, and where do you guys see music going? Where do you see, if you have elect and are gifted with children, what are your children going to be listening to? Where does this?
Everything that I forced them to listen to.
Yeah, the old stuff. What do you mean?
Yeah, the classics.
Think about how much, even in the last 20 years, when electronic music, think about how drastically different that is from the 80s, the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all cyclical,
where we go,
right?
Yeah.
I think it all kind of always comes back around, because I even think right now, both in the way that music is made, and I think in a lot of ways that people choose to consume music, like analog's back in, I think a lot of those elements are returning. And it seems like there's always this, like, I don't know, 20 to 25 year cycle. It's like a trip around the musical sun, so to speak. And it just kind of, you pick up different ways, and it might present itself, differently each time that it goes around. But, I think the pattern, I think, is probably already there, right? So it's like right now it feels like we're kind of getting back to a little bit more analog stuff. And, I'm sure, that'll redevelop again. It's the same thing with like fashion, for example. I mean, shit's always coming around and getting recycled and being reimagined and spinning off and everything like that. So I think for me too, it's kind of fun just being a passenger on this thing. Like, thankfully, because of a lot of friends that I have, like you two, I have become much more open-minded in terms of art and music and what I would consider to be things that I like. So it's fun just kind of like sitting there and be like, what's going to be next? And, see if I can open up my brain and my senses to those new things, or, the old things that are reimagined. So I don't know. And I don't know that I would really be all that concerned with, hoping or wondering or hoping that certain things would go in a certain direction. I think it's interesting just to see how people in different times and places and, situations choose to create stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the vocal side of music, I know there's a big like EDM and like kind of like less vocals, and we talk about where music started, how there was a lot of just drums or just orchestra, just strings, and obviously vocals, then there's a full band and stuff, and I feel like people are going away from the bands and doing a lot more. You can do so much by yourself. So I think it's going to continue going that direction where, and I do think that people are going to do not only just keep working and being unique with their voice, but how to, I guess, change their voice and how to do stuff in it. So it's going to be very vocal driven for the next like 20 years at least. And that could be like you and a guitar, you and something, but everybody's going to be doing like a lot of solo projects and probably in a wide, wide range of genres still, but it's going to be a lot of like projects where somebody, took the time to unlock something in their vocal ability or how to kind of change it or how to fit it into some stuff. So I think I would say that, that's kind of what I'm naturally feeling like. I feel like there's a lot more singer-songwriters that are doing well for good reason. I mean, they're really solid, and people are like clinging to that type of music right now. The EDM has run its course in the U.S. That kind of boomed like 10 years ago, or the dubstep and all the chill steps and all that. So the electronic stuff maybe phasing out a little bit. I feel like the bands and the, guitar solos and all that stuff are phasing out a little bit. So, yeah, more singing.
I'm just waiting until we all get back into our Gregorian chant era. That's coming back around.
Dude, need more Halo soundtracks, dude.
Gregorian chant. Yeah.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Because what started, I think, through the EDM thing, where I think you're right, like it was a little bit more popular 5 years ago, sort of thing. But what has, I think, stuck through that is people manipulating the voice with a computer and making it an instrument, turning it into a synthesizer sort of thing. Like you use it, starting with a bass sound of a voice and then turning it into something electronic kind of sounding.
Yeah.
That is stuck through kind of the less, the EDM and EDM pop sort of becoming a little bit less popular. So I think something with that is going to continue, like you said, for the next foreseeable future. Yeah.
We'll see if we're right.
We will see. Maybe we'll still be doing the podcast.
We'll still be here talking shit, I guess. So, yeah.
Episode 691 of the Grunge Bible podcast.
Yeah.
Here's a simpler follow-up. What type of, if you, and Drew, you do create some music, what type of music are you aiming to create right now? I've been playing a lot of drums in this past 2 weeks. And of course, like I'm getting nostalgic. I'm playing songs like I was playing Holding On To You in Car Radio by 21 Pilots, and I was having so much fun. And I was like, God, I wish I was back. Like, I wish I could play this with the band. I was playing some other songs, playing some front bottoms, and I was like, dude, I just want to play this with people that are going to want to play this again. So I don't know how creative I would be if that sounds really bad, but I would be creative, but like, I feel like I would still play all the older, this stuff I like to play. I guess I have a very specific drum style that I think I like to be involved in. But Drew, so like, yeah, if you're making music right now, what type of stuff are you trying to make? Are you trying to push the boundaries? Are you in something specific?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm kind of making. I mean, I enjoy making sort of the same stuff that I've made in the past, where I still always start with the guitar. It's just what me and E started with.
Yeah.
And then kind of try to build around that. Like I have a specific guitar that I've always used for like songwriting. And I just still always just like kind of default to that to find a groove and then come up with a melody. And then I've ever since kind of getting into like Skrillex and Diplo and people like that. I've always tried to make whatever melody thing I have, the bass is a voice. So it's somebody singing or talking, or whether it's myself or a sample or whatever. I I try to use as much organic stuff as possible because it just
All
sounds
right.
so much better, and like,
Yeah.
try to play a real bass. And then Tim Sonnefeld, who we've had on, he taught me how to program drums in such a like dope way, like because he learned from really good guys, and he started out when kind of really before like Ableton or any Pro Tools or anything like that, and he like was doing all like the old school shit, and like there's just like very like interesting ways that you can make like program drums sound very human, and that's what I try to do, just emulate him. He's way better and way more
We gotta get
amazing,
him
but
back on.
Gotta get him back on, dude.
Gotta get Tim back.
That was a really fun
Town hall.
conversation. Yeah, town
hall.
People forget.
Yeah.
I never will though.
That's good. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I always like what you come up with, and our intro. If you're out there, and if you listen to the intro, that was made by Drew McFadyen. He's made
all of our
I think we've
intros.
used at least three different ones that I can think of, or is it 4? Definitely 3.
I think 3 actually, Drew.
Yeah,
The
3
original,
technically.
the
For your
special
episode.
edition episode 69 intro.
There you go. yeah.
Yeah, I will never
Yeah.
forget about that one. That was a good
Yeah.
episode.
And this one, then I've been working on another one for a little bit. Yeah, I still have
Yeah.
to address that one, but yeah.
It's under
heard
construction.
Heard that before. Just kidding. Well, thank you for interviewing us, Drew. That was always a pleasure.
Yeah, it always is.
If you're still listening, thank you so much for being a trooper, pushing through. That means you probably listened to, well, hopefully you've listened to a bunch of episodes before this. If you haven't, you got some homework to do. There's plenty of good episodes. Maybe start
a
with
lot of
episode
homework.
69. Maybe start with episode 1.
Yeah,
Maybe start with episode 99. I don't know.
yeah.
Depends. But to close out the show, we are going to quick mention This Day in Music.
Need to.
And when we were doing some little research, Chris and I, and for some reason, there was so much Beatles stuff that happened on October 9th throughout the years. And quite frankly, we're not going to talk about all the Beatles like that.
We did not start the Grunge Bible podcast to talk
Yeah.
about the Beatles.
And if you follow closely
Who
to
are
the
the Beatles?
page,
Yeah.
Yeah, who the fuck
Exactly.
are
If
they?
you-
Bunch of
if you follow
schmucks.
closely to the page over the years, there's been a lot of memes, or there's at least we've wanted to post a lot of memes, but there's been memes and stuff that slander the Beatles, and it's such a fun conversation to get in when people don't understand why we slander them.
But it's
anyway,
not something
so
that we need to explain. It just
Yeah,
is.
so- John Lennon was born on October 9th in 1940, and
Holy moly.
it's funny. And then, like in 1975, it's like John Lennon celebrates his 35th birthday. Like, no shit, he gets it every year. So a few birthdays we're gonna go through, and that's just where we're gonna leave it. John Lennon, 1940. 1944, we have John Entwistle in the legend of the Who, and I know Chris loves some Who.
I
I
can
know
get
you're a
down
big-
with some Who. Dude,
Yeah.
Baba O'Reilly will always hit. It always hits, man. And
Teenage Wasteland.
I'm really gonna expose myself. I'm pretty sure it's Entwistle who does the bridge, like the "Don't cry, don't raise your eyes." It's only I'm pretty sure that's John.
Locked in.
No,
Final
maybe it's
answer.
not. No, never mind. It's not. I think that's Pete. My bad. I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. Next birthday.
Next birthday. In 1948, Jackson Browne was born. And this
Jackson
is
Brown. Big.
Doctor My Eyes, man, dude. Jackson Browne has no business being as good as he is. We know that, Chris.
Dude, 16 years old, he writes, "Don't confront me with my failures. I have not forgotten them."
16 years old, dude. I haven't heard
16,
that.
I don't even know what I was doing.
I haven't heard such lore since Silverchair. They were really young when they came
They
out
were
with their
young.
first
Did you know
album.
they were only 13?
Yeah. So Jackson Browne, though, we almost saw him, but the tickets were just crazy.
Yeah, Red
expensive.
Rocks back about a year ago. Instead,
Chris,
we went to the
if
front bottoms.
you could go back, would you have spent the money? Like now that
no,
now
I
that
would have
we're
gone to the
removed-
front bottoms. Not that was my
we
first
could-
front
I
bottoms.
guess it
show.
was the same night, wasn't it?
It was the same night. Yeah, the front bottoms were in Boulder, and then the Jackson was at Red Rocks.
Dang.
We'll get to Red Rocks.
I want
We'll
to see
get-
Jackson Browne though.
We'll get to Jackson Brown too.
And then in 1969, PJ Harvey was born, and that rounds up the birthdays.
Well, there's one more actually.
Oh, really?
In 1975, on October 9th, Sean Lennon, child of John Lennon, was born. So he was born on his father's birthday.
No.
Yeah, he was born on his dad's birthday.
No.
Yep.
John did that on purpose.
Let me see the
Yeah,
birth
conceded.
certificate. Yeah. Let me see the BC.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. All the days you pick the same one.
Yeah, man, it's kind of wild. Also, we would be remiss if we did not mention on October 8th, so one day after the show comes out, on October 8th, 1991, Soundgarden's Bad Motor Finger was released. Probably my favorite Soundgarden album, although Down on the Upside's been skyrocketing up the charts lately, but big October 8th guys around here for
Ebbs
Soundgarden.
and flows, ebbs and
It
flows.
always ebbs and flows, yeah. So that is this day in music history. So now that we've disseminated with that segment, I believe the three of us have one more thing that we need to get done before we close it out with a special song here. But it's time for some songs of the week.
Real quick, can I put the brakes on for a second?
Yes, please do, Drew.
Okay. Do you guys remember when CDs were a thing? Yes, you do.
Of course.
Do you remember like when they would come out? When did they always come out on a Tuesday?
Would they?
They would always come out on a Tuesday.
Why?
I don't know.
I thought that was like the grand reveal. Drew was gonna blow our minds with some info. We're gonna have to look. We're gonna have to look into this.
I want the listeners, if they can, too, to enlighten us.
Yeah, we
Throw
could
a comment.
we could crowdsource this.
Throw a comment. Was it always like that? When did it start? Why?
Right. Yeah. What's going on with this?
But it was always Tuesday. I wonder if it was like
And
to not
movies
compete with
Thursday.
movies. Well,
Thursday night.
Friday, but they always came out Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how albums are now all the time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not the Grunge Bible podcast though.
No, we did that for a little bit. It
We
wasn't
did that
worth
for. I
it.
didn't like that. Yeah, I like Mondays.
Podcasts are different,
Yeah,
obviously.
we're equipping the people with what they need to face the flood.
That was the only insert. Yeah. If anybody has any insight into where Tuesday came from,
Yeah,
I'd love to know.
Somebody gotta let us know.
Cool. Songs of the week.
All right, songs of the week. I'm gonna get it started here if I have the floor to do so.
I'll take cleanup. I got an awesome transition.
Nice, man. So my song of the week is not the song of the week that I have written here on my trusty notepad, but I made a audible at the line of scrimmage based off of one of the questions that we had earlier. So my song of the week is going to be from Christopher Lennertz. It is going to be Dogs of War main title, which was the theme song to Medal of Honor European Assault.
Wow.
It is in fact on Spotify, so it can in fact be listed on the Grunge Bible Songs of the Week playlist.
Wow.
So I'm locking
Dogs
it
of
in.
War?
Dogs of War main title. I just texted it to you guys, so you can have it,
thank you.
and you can bask in the full glory of Christopher
Wow.
Lennertz.
Christopher Lennertz.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so that's what we're gonna do here. I was originally going to pick a song from one of Dan Campbell's side projects. He's the lead singer of the Wonder Years, but that can wait until next week because we're getting into the Lennertz zone today. So that's my song of the week. Yeah. What about you, fellas?
That's
Drew,
awesome.
I think
Yeah.
you're up next, and then Ethan.
Yeah, my song of the week is I've been crushing this song back to back. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, Never Going Back Again.
Yes, absolutely.
Dude, oh my God.
It's perfect.
It's so incredible. I've been watching live videos, on YouTube. Especially if you catch the old ones. His voice, dude, like live, like it's even better live than it is on the record.
Yeah.
Because he kind of grinds it up a little bit. It's so good. And the guitar is so impossible.
I know, up and down the fretboard, crazy, up and down the neck.
It's the fingering. You have the finger style thing that you have to do. It's just so complicated. And then to think that he's doing that while he's singing too.
I know.
and it's
I'm
like not
always
like
fascinated by that.
Yeah, it's not an easy cadence or timing
A
necessarily.
lot of tasty licks in that guitar part too. Like, it's so smooth too.
It's the tastiest. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's the whole meal. It's not even just the appetizer. It's all five courses.
It's a damn happy meal. Yeah, it's
Damn right.
It's incredible.
With the toy.
So that, yeah, 100%. So that's my song of the week. Never Going Back Again. Fleetwood Mac. Totally.
That's awesome. So for my song of the week, and I wanted to bring it up earlier, but I figured it would be really good. It also is going to be a good segment. So it's actually another composer. And Drew, do you know who Ramin Djawadi is?
Yes.
The Persian composer that did the scores for Game of Thrones and Westworld, to name a few, and then as well as, Pacific Rim, Iron Man, and a few others. And in Westworld, they have this incredible version of Heart-Shaped Box. It's a cover. It's a piano. It's all piano, and it's like, obviously the credits are rolling, and it's beautiful graphics, and it's just this incredible version of Heart-Shaped Box, just solo piano, and maybe there's a little bit of the orchestra comes in, and it just is so phenomenal. And like that song, done correctly in the right renditions it's just such a beautiful, it just works so well. And that's some of the places that I think that cover songs, like covers and whatnot, do the best. It's like over a movie score and
TV show,
credits.
whatever the case. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's a phenomenal composer. He's up there.
He's incredible. Dude, there's a really cool YouTube video. I don't know if it was Fender or Guitar Center that did the video, but it was leading up to the Game of Thrones finale. And it's him playing guitar, the Game of Thrones, the theme song, with like a bunch of other legendary guitar players.
I think
and
they
all, and they all have like
really
kind of
cool.
start playing it, and then they all start soloing. Really cool. Definitely check it out. Yeah,
That's pretty sick.
yeah,
I like
he's
that.
awesome, dude. I think he did like House of the Dragon too, right? The new Game of Thrones one. Yeah.
I like that. So we've got 3 great songs of the week. We've got episode 2 of the Drew McFadyen Show in the book. We've got episode 133 of the Grunge Bible podcast in the book. Gents, thank you so much for getting together here to do this. To everyone listening, I hope you enjoyed the last little bit of your time, and thank you for sharing it with us. And as we did last week, we are going to leave you once again with the newest song from Cassius Clayton, brought to you by Pure Soul Presents. To commemorate the 30th anniversary of In Utero, we present you Cassius Clayton's cover of Heart-Shaped Box. It came out last week on October the 3rd, so I hope you've been checking it out, but this is another great point to stop and take a listen once again. A lot of really creative sounds coming on this soul cover of a obviously very notable and famous and timeless Nirvana song. So that's where we're going to leave it once again this week. So we will catch you all next week for episode 134. So Ethan and Drew, thank you once again. And let's just play it out now.
Eyes me like a Pisces when I am weak. I've been locked inside your heart-shaped box, girl, for weeks. I've been drawn into your magnetic trance. I wish I could eat your cancer when you turn black. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. I'm forever indebted to your priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. I'm forever indebted to your priceless advice. with your priceless advice. With your priceless advice. Oh, with your priceless advice. Forgive no one just yet.
No one just yet.
Cut myself on an angel hair and a baby's breath.
Like a itty bitty baby.
Broken hymen of your highness, I'm left black.
Like it's night, right?
Throw down your unbiblical noose so I can climb right